Marcus Kane looked at his watch for the third time in 5 minutes. The golden hands showed 7:30. Emma would be here soon. He straightened his tie and checked his reflection in the tall windows of the Starlight Terrace. At 42, he still looked good in a suit, though the gray in his dark hair had grown more noticeable lately. The restaurant buzzed with quiet conversation. Humans sat next to beings from other worlds, just like any normal evening in Neo-Chicago. A family of blue-skinned Centaurians shared appetizers at the corner table. 2 tall Andromedans discussed business over wine that glowed softly in their glasses. This was life in 2087, 15 years after humanity joined the Galactic Federation. Marcus had chosen this place because Emma loved it. The ceiling was made of clear material that showed the night sky above. Real stars mixed with the lights of passing ships heading to other worlds. His daughter would press her nose against the window and try to count them all. The elevator doors opened with a soft chime. Emma Kane bounced out, her brown curls flying behind her. She wore her favorite blue dress and carried a small backpack covered in patches from different planets. At 8 years old, she had more energy than Marcus remembered having in his entire life. "Daddy!" She ran to him and threw her arms around his waist. Marcus hugged her tight and breathed in the smell of her strawberry shampoo. "Hey there, kiddo, how was school?" "Amazing, we learned about the peace treaty with the Vegan Empire today. Did you know they have 3 sons? And Mrs. Collins said my project on translation software got the highest grade in class." Emma's eyes sparkled with excitement. Marcus felt a surge of pride. His daughter was brilliant, just like her mother had been. The thought brought the familiar ache to his chest, but he pushed it away. Tonight was about Emma. They sat at their usual table by the window. Emma immediately pressed her face to the glass, watching a Federation transport ship glide silently between the buildings. Its hull gleamed silver against the purple evening sky. "Tell me more about your project," Marcus said, settling into his chair. Emma turned back to him, her face serious now. "I wrote about how your translation programs helped humans talk to aliens when we first met them. Mrs. Collins said it was one of the most important inventions in history." Marcus smiled. "I just made computers better at understanding different languages. The real heroes were the diplomats who actually talked to everyone." "Like Mommy did," Emma said quietly. The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. He reached across the table and took his daughter's small hand in his. "Yes, like Mommy did." Emma had been only 3 when Linda died. Sometimes Marcus wondered how much she really remembered, but moments like this showed him that Linda lived on in their daughter's mind, bright and clear. "She would be so proud of you," Marcus said. "Getting the best grade in class, learning about other worlds. You're going to change the galaxy someday." Emma giggled. "Daddy, I'm only 8. Einstein was 8 once too. Their conversation was interrupted by footsteps approaching their table. Marcus looked up to see their waitress walking toward them. She was young, maybe early 30s, with shoulder-length brown hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. Her uniform was the standard black and white that all the servers wore, but something about the way she moved caught his attention. She walked like someone used to more formal settings, her posture straight and confident. "Good evening," the woman said, her voice warm and professional. "Welcome to the Starlight Terrace. My name is Linda, and I'll be taking care of you tonight." Marcus nodded politely. "Thank you. We'd like to start with some water and maybe look at the appetizer menu." "Of course." Linda smiled and pulled out her tablet to take notes. "And for the young lady, would you like our kids' menu or are you feeling adventurous tonight?" Emma looked up at the waitress, ready to answer. But instead of speaking, her face went completely white. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. She stared at Linda like she was seeing a ghost. Marcus frowned. "Emma, are you okay?" His daughter's face suddenly broke into the biggest smile he had ever seen, her eyes filled with tears of pure joy. Before Marcus could react, Emma jumped up from her chair and ran around the table. "Mommy!" she screamed at the top of her lungs. The entire restaurant went silent. Every conversation stopped. Every head turned toward their table. Marcus felt his heart stop beating as he watched Emma throw herself into the waitress's arms. Linda dropped her tablet. It clattered to the floor as she fell to her knees and caught Emma in a tight embrace. Tears streamed down her face as she held the little girl against her chest. "Oh, my baby," Linda whispered, her voice breaking. "My sweet baby girl." Marcus sat frozen in his chair. His brain refused to process what he was seeing. The woman holding his daughter, the woman Emma had just called Mommy, looked exactly like his wife. The wife who had died 5 years ago in a shuttle explosion. The wife whose funeral he had attended. The wife whose pictures still sat on Emma's nightstand, but it couldn't be her. It was impossible. Other diners were starting to stare and whisper. A Zephyrian family at the next table watched with their large silver eyes wide with curiosity. Restaurant manager, a thin human man in an expensive suit, hurried over looking concerned about the disturbance. "Is everything all right here?" the manager asked nervously. Linda looked up at him while still holding Emma. Her face was wet with tears, but she was smiling. "Everything's fine, Mr. Peterson. Just a family reunion." The manager looked confused but nodded and backed away. The other customers slowly returned to their meals, though Marcus could feel their curious glances. Linda finally stood up, keeping one arm around Emma. She looked directly at Marcus for the first time. Her brown eyes, the same eyes he had fallen in love with 12 years ago, were filled with pain and hope and fear all at once. "Hello, Marcus," she said softly. Marcus stared at her. His hands gripped the edge of the table so hard his knuckles turned white. When he finally found his voice, it came out as barely a whisper. "You're supposed to be dead." Linda held Emma close and looked at Marcus with tears in her eyes. The little girl wrapped her arms around her mother's neck and refused to let go. Other people in the restaurant were still watching them, but Linda did not care anymore. "I know this is hard to understand," Linda said quietly. "Can we sit down? I need to explain everything." Marcus felt like the world was spinning around him. His wife was dead. He had seen the reports from the Federation. He had held Emma while she cried at the funeral. He had spent 5 years learning to live without the woman he loved, and now she was standing in front of him wearing a waitress uniform. "You died," Marcus said, his voice shaking. "The shuttle exploded. There were no survivors. The Federation Council sent me your personal effects." Linda's face crumpled with pain. "I know. I'm so sorry, Marcus. I wanted to come back so many times, but they wouldn't let me. They said I had to stay dead." Emma pulled back to look at her mother's face. "Mommy, where have you been? Daddy said you went to heaven." Linda touched Emma's cheek gently. "I've been far away, baby, but I never stopped thinking about you. Not for one single day." Mr. Peterson, the restaurant manager, came back over to their table. He looked nervous and kept glancing at the other customers. "Excuse me," he said. "I don't want to interrupt, but some of our guests are getting concerned. Perhaps you could continue this conversation somewhere more private." Linda nodded. "Of course. Marcus, can we go somewhere quiet? I have so much to tell you." Marcus stood up slowly. His legs felt weak. "My apartment is 10 minutes away." "I'll drive," Linda said. She turned to Mr. Peterson. "I'm sorry, but I need to leave early tonight. This is my family." The manager's eyes went wide. "Your family? But you told me your family was dead." "It's complicated," Linda said. She took off her apron and handed it to him. "I'll explain everything tomorrow." They walked to the parking garage in silence. Emma held both her parents' hands, swinging between them like she used to do when she was younger. Marcus kept looking at Linda, trying to convince himself this was real. She looked the same as 5 years ago, maybe a little thinner. Her hair was shorter now and she moved differently, like someone who had learned to hide in plain sight. Marcus's car was a sleek silver model that could drive itself. He programmed it to go to his penthouse while they sat in the back seat. Emma curled up next to Linda, and Linda stroked her daughter's hair. "Tell me," Marcus said. "Tell me everything." Linda took a deep breath. 5 years ago, I wasn't just a diplomat. I was working for Federation Intelligence. They sent me on a mission to infiltrate a group called the Hegemony. Marcus frowned. "I've never heard of them." "Most people haven't. They're a secret organization made up of several alien species who think humans joined the Federation too quickly. They believe we're dangerous, that we'll upset the balance of power in the galaxy. The car moved smoothly through the city streets. Outside the windows, Neo-Chicago sparkled with lights from human and alien districts. Street vendors sold food from a dozen different worlds. Children from various species played together in the parks. "What does that have to do with faking your death?" Marcus asked. "The hegemony was planning something terrible," Linda continued. "They were going to stage a series of attacks and make it look like humans did it. The plan was to turn the other Federation species against us. If it worked, humanity would be kicked out of the Federation and left alone in space." Emma looked up at her mother. "That's mean." "Yes, baby. It was very mean. So I had to stop them. But to do that, I had to become someone else. I had to pretend, to be a traitor who hated humans. It was the only way to get close to their leaders." Marcus felt anger building in his chest. "So the Federation decided to kill you off? Without asking me? Without asking Emma?" "They said it was the only way. If anyone knew I was alive, the hegemony might figure out I was a spy. And if they figured that out, their plan would work. Billions of humans would suffer." The car pulled up to Marcus's building. They rode the elevator to his penthouse in silence. Emma had fallen asleep in Linda's arms. Marcus watched his wife carry their daughter to her bedroom and tuck her into bed. It was something he had done alone for 5 years. When Linda came back to the living room, Marcus was standing by the huge windows that looked out over the city. His shoulders were tense with anger. "They made you choose," he said without turning around. "Between your family and saving humanity." "Yes." "And you chose to save humanity." Linda's voice was barely a whisper. "I chose to save you and Emma. If the hegemony's plan had worked, humans would have been forced back to Earth. We would have been cut off from all the medical advances, all the technology, all the opportunities the Federation offers. Earth couldn't support all of humanity anymore. Millions would have died." Marcus turned to face her. "You could have told me. We could have figured out another way." "There was no other way. And Marcus, if I had told you, you would have tried to stop me. You would have said we'd find another solution, that we'd fight it together, but there wasn't time. The hegemony was moving fast. So you let me think you were dead. You let Emma grow up without her mother. You missed 5 years of her life." Linda started crying again. I know I hurt you both. Every day for 5 years I wanted to come home. I wanted to hold Emma and tell her bedtime stories. I wanted to be there when she lost her first tooth. I wanted to help her with her homework. Then why didn't you?" Marcus's voice was getting louder. "Why are you working as a waitress instead of coming home?" "Because 3 months ago, we finally caught the last members of the hegemony. The threat is over. But when I tried to contact you, I found out you had moved. New apartment, new security system, new life. I didn't know how to approach you after all this time." Marcus stared at her. "So you got a job at our favorite restaurant, hoping to run into us?" "I knew you still. Took Emma there for special dinners. I've been working there for 2 months, waiting for the right moment, but I never expected Emma to recognize me. She was so young when I left." "She remembered you," Marcus said quietly. "She talks about you all the time. She has your picture next to her bed." Linda covered her face with her hands. "I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I left. I'm sorry I lied. I'm sorry I missed so much of her life." Marcus walked over to her. For a moment, he wanted to hold her, to forgive her, to pretend the last 5 years had never happened. But he couldn't. "Linda, you saved our entire species. Every human alive today owes you their freedom. But Emma needed her mother. And I needed my wife. I don't know how to forgive that." Linda looked up at him. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I just want to be part of Emma's life again, if you'll let me." Outside the windows, the city hummed with life. Somewhere in the distance, a Federation ship was taking off for the stars, carrying diplomats and families to worlds beyond counting. And in the bedroom down the hall, a little girl slept peacefully, dreaming of a mother who had come back from the dead. Marcus sat down heavily in his chair. We need to figure this out for Emma's sake. Linda nodded. For Emma's sake. Marcus woke up to the sound of his communication device buzzing loudly. The morning sun was shining through his bedroom window, and he could hear Emma laughing in the kitchen. For a moment, he forgot about everything that had happened the night before. Then reality hit him like a cold wave. Linda was back. His dead wife was making breakfast for their daughter. The communication device kept buzzing. Marcus picked it up and saw dozens of missed messages. News alerts, interview requests, and calls from people he had not heard from in years. The first message made his blood run cold. Federation agent Linda Carter revealed alive after 5-year mission. The headline was on every news channel in the galaxy. Marcus jumped out of bed and ran to the kitchen. Emma was sitting at the table eating pancakes shaped like stars. Linda stood at the stove, still wearing the same clothes from last night. She looked tired but happy. "Daddy," Emma called out. "Mommy makes the best pancakes in the whole galaxy." Linda turned around and saw Marcus's face. "What's wrong?" Marcus held up his communication device. "We're on the news. Every news channel in the Federation is talking about you." Linda's face went pale. How did they find out so fast? Someone at the restaurant must have recorded us. Or maybe Federation intelligence leaked it. I don't know, but everyone knows you're alive now. As if to prove his point, the buzzer for the apartment door started ringing. Then it rang again. And again. Marcus walked to the security screen and saw a crowd of reporters outside his building. Humans, Centaurians, Andromedans, and species he did not recognize were all holding cameras and microphones. The building's security guards were trying to keep them back. "We can't stay here," Marcus said. "They'll never leave us alone." Linda nodded. "I know a safe place. Federation intelligence has a secure facility outside the city." Before Marcus could answer, his private communication line chimed. This was the line that only the most important people had access to. Marcus looked at the caller information and felt his heart skip a beat. "Chancellor Vex," he said quietly. "The head of the Federation. Council wants to talk to us." Linda's eyes grew wide. "Answer it." Marcus pressed the accept button, and a holographic image appeared in the center of the room. Chancellor Vex was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large silver eyes. He wore the traditional robes of his office, which seemed to shimmer in the light. "Mr. Kane," Chancellor Vex said, his voice deep and musical through the translator. "I hope I am not calling at a bad time." Marcus looked at Linda and Emma. "No, Chancellor, we're all here." "Good. I wanted to speak with all of you." The Chancellor's gaze moved to Linda. "Agent Carter, the Federation owes you a debt that can never be repaid." Emma looked up from her pancakes. "Who's that, Mommy?" "That's Chancellor Vex, baby. He's like the president of all the planets." Chancellor Vex smiled, which looked strange on his alien features. "Hello, little one. You should be very proud of your mother. She is a hero to billions of people across the galaxy." "I know," Emma said cheerfully. "She saved everyone." The Chancellor nodded. "Indeed she did. Agent Carter, I wanted you to know that your mission files have been declassified. The entire galaxy now knows what you sacrificed to stop the hegemony." Linda shifted uncomfortably. "I was just doing my job, Chancellor." "No," Chancellor Vex said firmly. "You did far more than your job. You gave up everything you loved to save species you had never met. This level of sacrifice is rare, even among the most advanced civilizations." Marcus stepped forward. "Chancellor, with respect, my wife missed 5 years of our daughter's life. We held a funeral, we grieved. The Federation could have found another way." Chancellor Vex's expression grew serious. "Mr. Kane, I understand your anger, but you must understand the scope of what the hegemony planned. They had infiltrated governments on 17 worlds. They had weapons that could destroy entire cities. If Agent Carter had not stopped them, we estimate that over 2 billion beings would have died in the resulting war." The Chancellor touched something on his end, and new holographic images appeared. Maps of the galaxy showing trade routes and planetary systems. The hegemony wanted to make it look like humanity was planning to take over the Federation. They had evidence planted, witnesses prepared, and attacks ready to launch. When the galaxy turned against Earth, they planned to offer themselves as humanity's replacements. Emma was listening with wide eyes. They wanted to hurt all the humans? Yes, child. But your mother stopped them. She spent 5 years pretending to be someone else, gathering evidence and slowly destroying their network from the inside. Chancellor Vex turned back to Marcus. Your mate showed a level of selflessness that we have made required study in schools across the Federation. Children on 1,000 worlds learn about the human who gave up her family to save strangers. Marcus felt overwhelmed. I don't know what to say. Say that you will accept the Federation's gratitude. Agent Carter, the Council has voted to award you the highest honor we can give. The Star of Federation, which has only been given 12 times in our history. Linda shook her head. I don't want awards, I just want my family back. You have it, Chancellor Vex said gently, and the Federation will make sure you are never separated again. But first, there is something else you should know. The Chancellor touched his control again, and more images appeared. These showed news broadcasts from across the galaxy. Beings from dozens of species were holding signs and banners with Linda's picture on them. Across the Federation, people are celebrating you. The Zephyrian High Council has declared today a holiday in your honor. The crystalline entities are composing songs about your sacrifice. 3 different worlds want to name their capital cities after you. Emma clapped her hands. Mommy's famous. Marcus felt his anger starting to fade, replaced by something else. Pride. His wife had not just saved humanity. She had become a symbol of what humans could be at their best. There's more, Chancellor Vex continued. We have been monitoring human behavior since you joined the Federation. Most species, when they gain access to our technology and knowledge, become focused on their own advancement. Humans are different. The Chancellor's images changed to show human colonies. Human doctors working on alien worlds. Human teachers in Federation schools. Your species gives without expecting return. You help others even when there is no benefit to yourselves. You adopt orphans from other worlds. You share your food with hungry aliens. You risk your lives to save beings you have never met. Arcus looked at Linda and Emma. We're just trying to be good neighbors. Exactly, Chancellor Vex said, and that is why Agent Carter's sacrifice was so important. She proved that humanity deserves its place among the stars. Not because you are strong or clever, but because you are kind. The Chancellor's image started to fade. I will leave you to reunite as a family. But know this, the Federation will remember what Agent Carter did, and we will make sure that no family ever has to make such a choice again. The hologram disappeared, leaving the 3 of them alone in the quiet kitchen. Outside, Marcus could still hear the reporters calling their names. Emma finished her pancakes and looked at her parents. Are we going to be okay? Marcus looked at Linda, seeing her with new eyes. She was not just his wife who had left them. She was a hero who had saved the galaxy. And somehow, impossibly, she was also the woman who made star-shaped pancakes for their daughter. Yes, he said finally, we're going to be okay. 2 weeks had passed since the world learned about Linda Carter. Every day brought new gifts and messages from across the galaxy. The Zephyrian High Council sent a crystal that sang beautiful music. The Andromedan Collective offered to build them a house on any planet they chose. Children from 17 different worlds sent drawings and letters. Marcus found himself reading these messages late at night, trying to understand what his wife had become to the rest of the galaxy. To them, she was a hero, a symbol of human goodness. To him, she was still the woman who had missed Emma's first day of school, her first lost tooth, and countless bedtime stories. Emma was the happiest Marcus had seen her in years. Linda had moved into the guest room of their penthouse, and mother and daughter spent every possible moment together. They made cookies, watched old movies, and played games. Emma showed Linda all her school projects and told her about every friend she had made. But Marcus kept his distance. He was polite to Linda, even kind, but he could not bring himself to trust her completely. At night, he lay in his bed alone, staring at the ceiling and wondering if she would disappear again. Linda noticed. She tried to talk to him several times, but Marcus always found reasons to be busy. He had work calls to make, meetings to attend, or emails to answer. The truth was, he did not know what to say to her. On a quiet Thursday evening, Marcus was standing on his balcony looking out at the city. The lights of Neo-Chicago stretched for miles in every direction. Human neighborhoods mixed with alien districts, creating a beautiful pattern of different colors and styles. Ships from other worlds moved between the tall buildings like metal, fish swimming through the sky. He heard footsteps behind him but did not turn around. Linda came to stand beside him at the railing. "Emma's asleep," she said softly. "I read her 3 stories about space pirates." Marcus nodded. "She loves those stories. I used to read them to her every night after you died. Marcus, we need to talk." "Do we?" Marcus finally looked at her. "What's left to say? You saved the galaxy. Everyone thinks you're a hero. Emma has her mother back. Everything worked out perfectly." Linda's face showed pain. "You're angry with me." "I don't know what I am." Marcus turned back to look at the city. 5 years ago, you made a choice. You chose to save billions of strangers instead of staying with your family. And you know what the worst part is? "What?" "You made the right choice." Marcus's voice was quiet but full of emotion. "Every day I read about the lives you saved, the war you prevented, the peace you protected. How can I be angry about that?" Linda was quiet for a long moment. "You can be angry because I hurt you and Emma. You can be angry because I missed 5 years of her life. You can be angry because you had to raise our daughter alone. But you saved everyone," Marcus said. "If the hegemony had succeeded, Emma might not even be alive today. Earth would have been cut off from Federation medicine, technology, everything. Millions would have died. Marcus, look at me." He turned to face her. In the soft light from the apartment, she looked exactly like the woman he had married 10 years ago. "I made a terrible choice," Linda said. "Not wrong, but terrible. I chose to save the galaxy instead of being with my family. And yes, it was the right thing to do. But that doesn't make it easy to live with." "How do you live with it?" Marcus asked. "By knowing that Emma is safe. By knowing that you're safe. By knowing that children all across the Federation can grow up in peace because of what I did. But also by knowing that I missed watching our daughter grow up." Marcus leaned against the railing. "Do you know what the hardest part was for me?" Linda shook her head. "It wasn't raising Emma alone, though that was hard. It wasn't the loneliness, though some nights I thought it would kill me. The hardest part was knowing that if someone had given me the same choice you had, I would have chosen differently." Linda's eyes went wide. "What do you mean?" "If they had told me I could save humanity, but I would have to leave you and Emma forever, I would have said no. I would have chosen my family over everyone else, and that makes me selfish." "Marcus, no, that makes you human." "Does it? Because you're human too, and you made the right choice." Linda reached out and took his hand. "I made the choice I could live with. You would have made the choice you could live with. Neither one is wrong." Marcus looked down at their joined hands. Her skin was warm and familiar. "I wanted to hate you for leaving us. It would have been easier than missing you." "I know. But I can't hate you. Because Emma is alive and happy and safe because of what you did. Because billions of people are alive because of what you did. Because the future she's going to inherit is better because of what you did." Linda started crying quietly. "I thought about coming back so many times. There were moments when I almost broke cover, almost came home. The night Emma lost her first tooth, I found out from the intelligence reports. I cried for hours." "You knew about that?" "I knew about everything. Every school play, every report card, every time she was sick. I had people watching to make sure you were both safe and happy. It was torture knowing I couldn't be there." Marcus squeezed her hand. "Why didn't you contact me when the mission was over?" "Because I was afraid." I was afraid you would have moved on. I was afraid you would hate me. I was afraid Emma would have forgotten me. And I was afraid that maybe you were all better off without me. We weren't better off, Marcus said firmly. We survived. We made a good life. But we were never better off without you. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the city below them. A family of Centaurians walked past on the street, their children playing and laughing. A group of human teenagers shared food with some young Andromedans. This was the world Linda had fought to protect. Linda, Marcus said finally, I need you to promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll never leave us again, no matter what. No matter who asks. No matter what cause needs saving. Promise me that if someone offers you another mission, another chance to save the galaxy, you'll say no. Linda turned to look at him. Marcus, what if the galaxy needs saving again? Then someone else can save it. You've done enough. Emma needs her mother and I need my wife. The galaxy had you for 5 years, now it's our turn. Linda smiled through her tears. I promise. No more missions. No more secrets. No more choosing between my family and everyone else. Marcus pulled her close and held her tight. For the first time in 5 years, he felt complete again. They stood together on the balcony, two people who had found their way back to each other after being separated by the vast darkness of space. Inside the apartment, Emma slept peacefully, dreaming of star pirates and space adventures. Tomorrow she would wake up with both her parents under the same roof. And for the first time since she was 3 years old, that would not be just a dream. The city hummed around them, full of humans and aliens living together in the peace that Linda had helped to secure. Ships continued to move between the stars, carrying families and dreams to worlds beyond counting. And in one small corner of that enormous galaxy, 3 people were finally home. 6 months later, Marcus stood in front of a massive crowd on the steps of the new Linda Carter Memorial Academy. Beings from 47 different worlds had come to see the opening ceremony. The building behind him was beautiful, made of white, stone and clear glass that caught the morning sunlight. Emma, now 9 years old, stood beside him wearing her best dress. She held a big pair of scissors and smiled at all the cameras pointing at her family. Linda wore a simple blue suit and looked nervous but happy. I can't believe they built a whole school for you, Mommy, Emma whispered. Linda knelt down to Emma's level. It's not just for me, baby. It's for all the young people who want to learn how to help others and make peace between different worlds. The crowd grew quiet as Chancellor Vex stepped up to the platform. His tall, thin form cast a long shadow in the morning light. When he spoke, his words were translated into dozens of languages. Today we open a school that will teach the next generation of diplomats, peacekeepers, and bridge builders, the Chancellor said. This academy exists because one human showed us what it means to sacrifice for others. Marcus looked out at the crowd. There were humans, Centaurians, Andromedans, Zephyrians, and species he was still learning to recognize. Children from different worlds sat together, waiting to hear Linda speak. Agent Linda Carter gave up 5 years with her family to save billions of lives, Chancellor Vex continued. But more than that, she showed us what makes humanity special. Your species has a gift for loving beyond yourselves, for seeing strangers as family, for building bridges where others see only walls. The Chancellor gestured to Linda. I present to you the woman who proved that love is stronger than fear, that hope is stronger than hate, and that sometimes the greatest victory comes through the greatest sacrifice. Linda walked to the podium while everyone clapped. She looked out at the crowd and took a deep breath. 5 years ago, I made the hardest choice of my life, she began. I chose to leave my family to save people I had never met. Today, I want to tell you that both choices were right. She paused and looked at Marcus and Emma. Love doesn't get smaller when we share it with more people. It gets bigger. Sacrifice doesn't make us weak. It makes us stronger. And family isn't just the people we're born with. It's everyone we choose to care about. A young Zephyrian in the front row raised her hand. Linda smiled and nodded to her. Miss Carter, how did you stay brave for so long? The child asked. I stayed brave by remembering what I was fighting for, Linda answered. Every night, I would think about my daughter Emma. I would think about all the children like you, from all the different worlds. I knew that if I gave up, those children might not have a future. An older Centaurian stood up. Do you regret the choice you made? Linda was quiet for a moment. I regret the pain it caused my family. I regret missing 5 years of Emma's life. But I don't regret saving lives. I don't regret protecting peace. And I don't regret proving that humans deserve their place among the stars. After the ceremony, families walked through the new academy. The halls were filled with classrooms where students would learn about different alien cultures. There was a library with books from 100 worlds. The dining hall served food from across the galaxy. Marcus and Linda walked hand in hand through the building. Emma ran ahead, exploring every room and talking to children from other planets. Look, Daddy, Emma called out. They have a whole room, just for learning alien languages. Marcus smiled. Maybe you'll study here someday. I want to be a diplomat like Mommy, Emma said seriously. But I won't go away for 5 years. I'll take my family with me. Linda laughed. That sounds like a perfect plan. They stopped in front of a large window that looked out over the city. In the distance, Federation ships were taking off and landing at the spaceport. The sky was full of traffic from dozens of worlds. The Federation Council offered me a new job, Linda said quietly to Marcus. Marcus felt his heart skip a beat. What kind of job? Director of Interspecies Relations. I would help solve problems between different worlds, work on trade agreements, and train new diplomats. But I would be based here on Earth. No more secret missions, no more being away from home. That sounds perfect, Marcus said. What did you tell them? I told them I would think about it. I wanted to talk to you and Emma first. Emma ran back. To them, her face bright with excitement. Mommy, Daddy, look what I found. She held up a small device that looked like a communication pad. It's a universal translator. I can talk to anyone in the galaxy with this. Marcus took the device and looked at it. You know, Emma, your old dad helped invent the software that makes these work. Really? Emma's eyes went wide. Really? And maybe someday you'll invent something even better. Linda put her arm around both of them. So what do you think? Should I take the job? Emma jumped up and down. Yes. Then you can help teach at the school that has your name on it. Marcus nodded. I think it's time for the Carter family to save the galaxy together. As they walked back through the academy, Marcus thought about how much their lives had changed. 6 months ago, he had been a single father raising his daughter alone. Now they were a family again, stronger than before. The students at the academy would learn about diplomacy and peace. They would study different cultures and languages. But most importantly, they would learn what Linda had taught the entire galaxy. That love is worth fighting for, that sacrifice makes us stronger, and that family is everyone we choose to protect. Outside, the sun was setting over Neo-Chicago. The city lights began to twinkle like stars. Ships from other worlds moved through, the sky carrying people and dreams to distant planets. Emma walked between her parents, holding both their hands. I'm glad you came back, Mommy. I'm glad I came back too, baby. Marcus squeezed Linda's hand. Welcome home. In the years that followed, the Linda Carter Memorial Academy became famous across the galaxy. Its graduates went on to prevent wars, negotiate peace treaties, and build bridges between species that had never spoken before. Emma grew up to become one of the Academy's most celebrated students. She learned to speak 17 different languages and made friends with children from 43 worlds. When she graduated, she chose to become a diplomat, just like her mother. But unlike her mother, Emma never had to choose between her family and her duty. She took her parents with her to every assignment, proving that love and service could go hand in hand. Marcus continued to run his company, but he also became a teacher at the academy. He taught young diplomats how to use technology to break down barriers between species. And Linda became exactly what the galaxy needed: a bridge between worlds, a voice for peace, and a reminder that sometimes the greatest strength comes from the willingness to sacrifice for others. The Carter family had learned that home isn't a place, It's the people you love and the principles you're willing to fight for. And in a galaxy full of wonders, that was the most wonderful discovery of all.